So good evening. Once again, welcome back to Professor Academy's question paper analysis of UGC NET English, December 2021, Shift 1. And today we are going to analyze questions from 76 to 80. So let's look at question number 76. Which of these plays by Girish Karnad shares its theme with Thomas Mann's The Transposed Heads? You have four plays by Girish Karnad here. Option A, Tail Danda, D-A-N-D-A. Then B, Yayati. C, Nahamandala. D, Hayavadana. So one of these plays, is based on the German writer Thomas Mann's novel, The Transposed Heads. You can eliminate certain options because when you look at this story, transposed heads, something you change one head for the other. There are a lot of stories in Hindu mythology, concerning this kind of, exchanging or changing one's head for another's head. Or maybe you can eliminate one of these plays. Nahamandala has nothing to do with this one, or Yayati. Okay, the answer is D, Hayavadana. So Hayavadana is based on this one. In his intro or note, Girish Karnad gave this explanation in his note on Hayavadana. The central episode in the play, in Hayavadana, the story of Devadatta. So this story is of, the central characters in this play are three. We have Devadatta, who represents the intellectual, kind of the head. Then his friend Kapila, more to do with the body, right? Then Devadatta married Padmini, and Padmini and Kapila had a relationship. Now Devadatta and Kapila fought with each other and they beheaded each other. And Padmini was given a chance to bring them back to life. So what she did in a hurry, she took the head of Kapila and fixed it on Devadatta's body. And she took Devadatta's head and fixed it on Kapila's body, right? So because of this confusion, now Devadatta, who was earlier known for his intellect, is more thinking like Kapila. Kapila, earlier known for his bodily one, now is more like the head, Devadatta. So the confusion results because of this exchange is a crux of this play, Hayavadana. And Karnad says this play is based on a tale from Vetala Panchavimshika. But he also says, but I have drawn heavily on Thomas Mann's reworking of the tale. It's not directly from that source. It's actually from the German novelist Thomas Mann's reworking of the same tale in his novel, The Transposed Heads. So now you can understand the transposed heads, change of heads of Devadatta and Kapila. So this is the story. So what we can do now, so whenever we read a play, we should read its introduction or note or afterword or foreword, where the writer himself or herself talks about the source or kind of inspiration. So in the last exam, we have got around 4 or 5 questions like this. And we are also getting a lot of questions from Indian literature these days, from poetry, from novel, and also from plays. We'll go to question number 77. Who among the following is known to have used elements from the Yakshagana tradition in his theatre? We have again, this question is from Indian literature. So we have option A, Mahesh Dattani, B, Badal Sircar, C, Girish Karnad, D, Mohan Rakesh. What you can do, of course, that Yakshagana it's a kind of a performance in the south. Then you can eliminate certain options here. The answer is C, Girish Karnad again. So we have got 2 questions this time from Girish Karnad. So what is Yakshagana? Yakshagana is kind of a folk performance. And it's more to do with Karnataka, but it's also performed in Kerala, related with Kathakali. So Girish Karnad was very much attached to this Yakshagana performance, and in his introduction to his plays, 3 plays, Nahamandala, Hayavadana, and Tuklak, he wrote this. Once the harvest was over, now when he was a child, I went with the servants to sit up nights watching the more traditional Yakshagana performances. So these Yakshagana performances, these traditional folk performances, had a huge impact on his later plays, on his own plays. The stage, a platform with a back curtain, was erected in the open air and lit by torches. So this is the tradition we see in the south and also elsewhere, where at night, especially during summer, for temple festivals, they put on performances like this. So we have Yakshagana from Karnataka. So this, and if we know that Girish Karnad was from Kannada, I mean from Karnataka, and he wrote plays both in Kannada and English, then this could be an easy one. Let's also look at the other playwrights mentioned in the question number 77. We have Mahesh Dattani. Mahesh Dattani, Indian playwright, wrote in English, and he was known for this play, often prescribed one, Final Solutions. Right? Then these are some of his other plays, also famous. We have Dance Like a Man, Bravely Fought the Queen, Tara, On a Muggy Night in Mumbai, then Where There Is a Will. The next play, Do the Needful, then 7 Steps Around the Fire. These are some of his plays. Next time, at least if we know, if you are aware of Mahesh Dattani and have some acquaintance with the you should definitely read Final Solution, which is often prescribed. At least we can eliminate options and we can narrow down to 2 or 3 options and get the question right. Next, we have Badal Sircar, who was known for his third theatre. He gave up this stage performances. He used the natural setting, natural everyday environment, kind of a street theatre, and he was coming up with a kind of a live performance, anywhere in the street. So Badal Sircar, you can read about his third theatre. Then his often prescribed work, often kind of a masterpiece, Ivam Indrajit. Then these are some of his other major works. We have Procession, Burma, Stale News, Beyond the Land of Hatamala, then Scandal in Fairyland, then Indian History Made Easy, then Life of Bahala. Bengali writer. So earlier one, Mahesh Dattani, Indian playwright, wrote in English, but Badal Sircar wrote in Bengali. Then they were translated into English. Then we have Mohan Rakesh, who wrote in Hindi, a very established one in Hindi literature. And one of his plays, One Day in Azad. Okay. So with this, we let's go to the next question. Question number 78. We have match the following. Match list 1 with list 2. So list 1, we have author. List 2, the form, the literary form they are known for. So again, under list 1, we have capital A, Pindar, against which we have 1, Epinicia, Epinica. It's a literary form. And then list 1, capital B, Menander, Menandr, Menander, against which we have 2, Old Comedy. Then C, Sappho, we have against which we have 3, Lyric Poetry. Then D, Aristophanes. Then we have against which I have 4, New Comedy. So before you go to the option, let's try to eliminate certain options. Some of these names are new to us, but let's spare some time. Whenever we, all are something with Greek literature, ancient Greek literature. Some of them are poets, some of them, 2 of them are poets, 2 of them are playwrights. So whenever we think of Greek playwrights, we know this, Aristophanes. So Aristophanes, known for comedy, and he is considered the father of Greek comedy. So you have only 2 options here. Is it old comedy or new comedy? But Aristophanes, we know, very ancient. So if we choose D2, old comedy, we can eliminate 2 options, because D2, I mean Aristophanes, old comedy. So there are 2 options we can eliminate, option A and option C we can eliminate. Then we are left with the two. I mean option B and option D. Both we have D2. I mean Aristophanes and old comedy. And in both the options, B is matched with 4. We have a B, Menander, new comedy. Fine. Now we have to decide whether Pindar is associated with epizenia or lyric poetry, or we have this famous poet Sappho, whether she was associated with lyric poetry or epizenia. So answer is B. So this is the correct pair. Pindar, we have epizenia. Then B, Menander, new comedy. Sappho, we have lyric poetry. Then Aristophanes, old comedy. So this time we get at least around 4 or 5 questions from ancient literature, especially Greek literature. So let's spend some time on these writers. So we have Aristophanes. We think of Aristophanes, we think of old comedy. And he is called the father of comedy in general, or specifically the father of Greek comedy. And these are some of his famous comedies: the clouds, the wasps, the birds, and the frogs. There are also other plays. And what is old comedy? Greek old comedy, ancient old comedy. When we say old comedy is based on satire. Aristophanes is known for mocking or making fun of people. And when we say old comedy, it is more to do with satire or pulling someone's leg, that kind of a humor. So that is old comedy. But when we say new comedy, we have Menander. So when we say new comedy, there is a shift from old comedy to new comedy. What is that shift? Instead of pulling someone's leg, making fun of people's qualities and characteristics. So here we move on to the everyday life of common people. And Menander, who represents this type of comedy, new comedy, focused more on the everyday life and the follies of common people, the mistakes they make. And we have some of his works here: Aspis, ASPS, translation, the shield. Then Dyscolox, DYSCOLOS, that means the grouch, a kind of a miser. Then Samia, girl from Samos. Okay, these are some of his works. So hereafter, when we read, we have been focusing more on tragedy, Aristotle and Aristotle's treatise on tragedy. Then we have Sophocles, Aeschylus, and Euripides. So we should also focus on comedy, especially Aristophanes and Menander. Next, we have Sappho, who is considered the 10th muse. So in Greek literature, we have 9 muses, goddesses who inspired poets. Sappho is considered the 10th muse, right? And her contribution, she wrote a lot of poems that could be set to music. When we say lyric poetry, you think of that musical instrument, lyre. So you write poems that is accompanied by music, especially lyre. So that kind of a poetry is called lyric poetry. And we lost a lot of our works. And these are some of our famous works: Ode to Aphrodite, APHRODITE, Aphrodite. Then the Tithonus poem. So Sappho, think of lyric poetry. But when we say lyric poetry, ancient Greek, we have got around 9 famous lyric poets. And Sappho is one of the 9 poets. And of the 9, Pindar is considered the master. And when we say Pindar, we generally think of ode, Pindaric ode. Or based on Pindaric ode, we have this irregular ode, right? Covlean ode. Then we also have Horatian ode. So when we say Pindar, Pindar's contribution to this form is actually victory odes. So what is an ode? It's a poem of address. You address someone or something. When we say victory odes, it is for the public occasion or public events, kind of a celebration. So Pindar wrote poems or kind of a celebratory ones based on public events or celebrations, especially games, especially to praise winners of games. right? Sports. So sportsmen and women who won games, right? So victors, simply put, poems written on victors. So these are called victory odes, and victory odes is also called epinicia. So epinicia is a plural form. Epinica is a plural form. Singular form Epinicion. Epicenian. Epinician, right? So these are some of his victory odes, categorized based on whom he wrote the odes. So we have Olympian Games, in the sense he wrote poems on the winners of those who participated in these games and who won. Olympian Games, Pythian Games, then Isthmian, Esthmian, Isthmian Games, then Nemean Games. Next, let's go to question number 79. Arrange the following plays in their chronological sequence. So we have 4 plays here. Capital A, Sergeant Musgrave's Dance. Then B, The Playboy of the Western World. C, Look Back in Anger. D, Man and Superman. So these days we get questions, based on this chronology, based on chronology of publication or sometimes author's birth or their life. So what we have to do, at least we try to identify, okay, Man and Superman, if you know George Bernard Shaw, or Look Back in Anger, it's a more a modern one, associated with angry young men, all right, a literary movement. Then we have a Playboy of the Western World, again an Irish playwright, Sing. Then this Sergeant Musgrave Dance is a bit odd here. Is it old or new? We are confused. So at least we know Look Back in Anger is a more a modern one, whereas Man and Superman and the play, they are in the 90s plays. All right. So Look Back in Anger is more in the 1950s. So if you come to that conclusion, okay, either it could be B or D. And we are okay. What is the Sergeant Musgrave's Dance? If it's the latest one, then we can eliminate 2 options. We can go for B and D. Then we have the question, which came first? Is it Man and the Superman or the Playboy of the Western World? Let's look at the answer. So answer is D. So first we got Man and Superman, then Playboy of the Western World, C, Look Back in Anger, then Sergeant Musgrave's Dance. Let's look at the authors. So this is the chronology. 1903, we got George Bernard Shaw's Man and Superman. Then that Superman has something to do with this philosopher Nietzsche. So you can check out the term Superman and also Nietzsche. Then, but he goes against it, I guess. Then we have 1907. We have J.M. Singh. Pronunciation is Singh, spelling S-Y-N-G-E, Singh. And his celebrated work, The Playboy of the Western World. Then we have 1956. You have to remember this year. When we say modern plays in England, this is considered a significant one, especially that group, right? Angry Young Men, the literary movement. We have this famous work, Look Back in Anger by John Osborne, 1956. Then we have got 1959, another British playwright, John Orton, and his work, Sergeant Musgrave's Dance. So that sounds new to us. At least we can learn it now. Then let's go to the final question of today's class. Again, a match list 1 with a list 2. List 1, we have playwrights. List 2, plays. So A, Bertolt Brecht, against which we have Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. B, Tennessee Williams, against which 2, Life of Galileo. Then C, Václav Havel, we have against which Miss Julie. Then D, August Strindberg, we have against which 4, Temptation. So first, some of these are very famous. For instance, Tennessee Williams. Anyone can say Tennessee Williams. When we think of Tennessee Williams, we have a Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Sometimes we get lucky. If you know one solid one, if it is B1, then Actually, there is only one option that has B1. Tennessee Williams, cat on a hot tin roof. So we have easily cracked it, if you're aware of that, or else we could go for something else. So answer B, option B. A, Bertolt Brecht, we have Life of Galileo. B, Tennessee Williams, we have A, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Then C, Václav Havel, we have Temptation. Then 4, August Strindberg, we have got Miss Julie. So this is something to do with world literature. So every time, this time we have got a lot of questions from world literature. So next time we have to spend some time on world literature more, plays, novels, and poems. So this is from Germany. So from German literature, we have called Bertolt Brecht's play, The Life of Galileo. And one more thing, if you have noticed, the questions are not in-depth questions. Mostly when questions are based on world literature, they generally ask, who wrote which one, that kind of a questions, right? So if we have some exposure to world literature, then these are easy questions. So Brecht, we can also get to know his other plays, the Three Penny Opera. Then this is considered as masterpiece, often performed and prescribed. Mother Courage and Her Children. Then you have an interesting story. That's a play here. The Caucasian Chalk Circle. Caucasian, C-A-U-C-A-S-I-A-N. Caucasian Chalk Circle. And when we think of Brecht, Brecht is associated with Marxism. And you can see the tendency, Marxist tendency in his plays, talking about working class and their problems. So especially Mother Courage and Her Children has something to do with war and how people survive in that war. So that we should read Mother Courage and Her Children. Who knows, next time they simply ask the name of the children, Mother Courage children, right? That could be an easy one. Okay. And let's go to the next one. From America, we have got Tennessee Williams. And the question we got is Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. But whenever we think of Tennessee Williams, we also think of his other famous works like The Glass Menagerie, A Streetcar Named Desire, which is often prescribed, and the last one, The Night of the Iguana, I-G-U-A-N-A. Then the next one, we have a playwright from Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic. So you have Václav Havel, V-A-C-L-A-V, Václav Havel, H-A-V-E-L. And the question we got is actually from his play, Temptation. There are also other plays by him, The Garden Party, The Memorandum, and Audience. And let's go to the final one. So we have got a question from Swedish literature. We have this playwright, August Strindberg, S-T-R-A-N-D-B-E-R-G. We got Miss Julia. And his other works, we have Master Olav, O-L-O-F, Olav. Then The Road to Damascus. Then the final one is an often prescribed one, The Ghost Sonata. So now what we learned from this analysis, the analysis of 5 questions, that one, we have to read a lot about world literature, playwrights, novelists, at least we get to know them. So if you have a list of playwrights across the world and their works, or you can make a list, if you have one, go through it again and again. And next time we can't say, they will simply ask, the name of the writer and the play or novel. They may ask the characters, maybe who is a major character in this work. So that could be a possible question next time, because every time the NET exam evolves, right? So what we have to do, at least read some of the works or its detailed summaries. So with this, let's finish today's class. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to this channel for further updates, and you can also contact this number to join the course for UGC NET and NET English.